Welcome back, everybody. I'm just going to give a quick update on this truck again. Today we finishing up like fuel system stuff. Got the Holley red pump on right here. Got the fuel pressure regulator on it and set. I just actually moved from there the stock fuel filter holder and moved it over there. Just so that way we can have some uniformity. I've got it all backwards, but I'll flip it around. From there, got hard line going up to the carburetor, and back here, see the top is the return, and they go back here into the bulkhead. That's where they go into the tank, come out of the tank too. And right here I'm using the light right there spliced off of that to feed power to the pump. So now that works off the key, still does. Also got the wires ran for the US shift, just got them plugged in, got the old harness out, so they're in, ready to be measured and put into the cab. Got the pan off of it because you've got to change the torque converter clutch solenoid. Something about the resistance is different between 95, 96, and the US shift utilizes the 96 and later. So as you can see, the headers are in too. I don't know if it showed that. Those are in. Look horrible. Yeah, I think that's it for right now. Fixing to let it down and begin the wiring process of doing the US too. So just hang tight with us. Got the all that put back in the hitch, because you got to take it out. You got to take the tire down to get the tank out. That was a lot of fun. So yeah. All right, be back in a minute. All right, so just got done with this harness here. This is part of the factory harness. I've cut a bunch of it out because we don't need injector wires, we don't need factory coil, we don't need EGR, throttle body, none of that throttle position from the factory, IC, none of that. So I just stripped the necessities. We've got this factory, I don't really know what you call it. It's not really a T, but yeah, kind of. I've got both these water temp sensors in it. And over here, I'm going to figure out something, I don't really know what yet, to clear the MSD cap. You see it's pretty tight right there. And then we're going to run this for the other heater hose. These are for the AC, in case he wants to retain factory AC. I imagine he does, so just went ahead and left those in as well. It still utilizes into the factory connector, that bulkhead there. The reason I done that is because if anybody ever wants to make this truck stock again, all you have to do is unbolt that, get a junkyard wiring harness, throw it on, go on. And it's got a factory tack cluster in it. So this wire right here, this white and pink, you can barely see it, it's kind of dirty, is it's the factory tack signal. So this MSD tack output here, it's going to tie into that. And also from the factory distributor, this red and green, red with a green tracer, it is 12 volt power. So what I'm going to do is feed the MSD power here. You can see I'm going to run it through here, pardon me, across some wires here that have to go to the alternator, which will be right here. And it's going to Y and go back, not on this car, but on the one we're going to use for this engine. It will be for the electric choke. And they'll Y in together and use this single power. So yeah, that's the plan. I had to go get a new soldering gun, and this thing works pretty good. This Weller, if you can see it there, works really good. Yeah, you can see my little station I've got here. My mess, that was what just dropped. So, yeah, done that. I've got that done. As you can see, all these wires here, if you're curious, that is for this US shift quick 2. So, let me try to bang anything up here. I went ahead and got the harness because it'd be a lot easier to wire in like that. Let me set this thing down here. That is for the solenoids. This plug-in's for the solenoids, and it's right here. That's for the range sensor, and it is right. No, that's for speed sensor. Right here's for the range sensor. That's for the, like I said, the speed sensor, and it goes right there. And then there's another harness on this end. That's for the vehicle. Like, that's all power. Honestly, oh, here it is. Here's this harness. Like, you got power, and I think that's the ground right there. Just a bunch of different stuff. I think that these 3 wires are for the throttle position sensor, if I'm not mistaken, and a few other things here. That's the speedometer. So I don't think it'll be too bad to do. Also, since I'm showing stuff off, that's the wiring harness for that. That's the wiring harness for the throttle position sensor, and here is the actual throttle position sensor. Nice little deal. It bolts on to the Edelbrock carburetor. Just mounts right to the hat. Mounts right here. I think those 2 bolts, and that linkage just goes straight down there, and there's a little slot for that pin to slide in. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So gonna come back tomorrow and start trying to get most of this wired in, soldered in. Who knows? Hopefully by the end of the week we can have a running driver. All right, welcome back. Just another quick update on this thing. So as you can see, I've been polishing the brackets a little bit. Didn't polish the alternator. Just didn't really want to get a lot of debris down in there, so just left it alone. We got this routed. I know that's a terrible spot for the dipstick, but where we're going to delete the smog pump, the belt will come over and run that way. And it's going to be tight right there, and it'll run to the AC compressor, down to the power steering, and to the crank. So I know it looks a little odd, but I've actually done some research on that, and that's how most people do them. Either that or I think they use that one. I can't remember. See what I can find on it. It's been a little while. Got the throttle linkage hooked up, as you can see there. That's all that works. You can see that's the fast idle for the choke. When you set the choke off, it's got enough room that it moves forward and returns to idle. And the choke is wired. You just ground that to the body. And this is the throttle position sensor for the US shift. So it's all wired in. You can see this wire loom there goes down through there, and that hooks to the battery. And those wires are obviously for the throttle position sensor. Run it through this bulkhead here, or not bulkhead, but run it through that plate there, all wired in. That set of wires goes down to the transmission. You can see it there. And then those go to like backup lights, starter solenoid. I think I showed this the other day, but this harness here, I made it just to utilize these few sensors, like oil pressure, the 2 coolant, and AC. Trying to think. I had to solder all this together. Had to solder all these wires together. That took a couple of days just because the soldering iron died. I think I did mention that too. Trying to think what else. Got one heater hose ran. Gotta try to either get this one off or figure something out for that, because as you can see, it's a little short. You gotta do wire looms, loom the wires up. Need to tidy all these up once I get all the bracketry on the front. Radiator, coolant lines, fan shroud and fan. In front of the motor would be just about done. Pardon my sniffles, I got a little bit of a cold. So, let's see. It's a little dark in here. As you can see, that's where, let me set that there. That's where I mounted the US Shift 2, the Quick 2, I mean. So, it may get moved around a little. I'm gonna tuck all these wires, make it look nice and neat. Don't want it to look like garbage. It's set up, it's programmed. I'll go over it again and make sure that it's 100% ready to go. But I just made a little bracket out of some scrap plastic. I may wind up redoing it. I don't really know yet. Trying to think what else. I think that's just about it for now. We're coming along. Gotta put a new sail on the pressure side of the power steering. Finish wrapping those wires that go to the transmission. Yeah, I think that's it. So, yeah, be back in a minute. All right, welcome back. Just another quick update. Believe last time I got this bracket on. You can see this a little funky, this crossover here. Unfortunately, I had to do that because this factory piece that goes down to this side of the water pump for the heater hose has this T on it. So I just got another T teed in there, and it's going to act as a little crossover. So I really didn't know what else to do, because I have to have this piece. And you know, maybe you could have got somebody to cut it off flush, braze it, but I don't know, or weld it, I don't know. Didn't really want to take the risk, maybe having that crack and leak, so just went this route. I got that T there, so that's all good. Got all this loomed, just need to place it, keep it from moving around like that. Got all this done, got this bracket on, the power steering and AC. Got the AC compressor kind of shined up a little bit, scuffed off. Made it look a little bit nicer. The hoses are on, all the sensors are on. Also got the throttle cable bracket. Got it working, so it's good. It works like it should. You can see the chokes close. You pump it. Well, oh yeah, it did say, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get it figured. It's open there. You pump it and it shuts for fast idle. So, and then whenever you put that off, see, it comes forward like the standard idle. So it actually needs to be raised a little, I think. Started it up a minute ago, and I think the fuel pump is not running whenever the engine's on. So I gotta get that figured out. It does prime, like if you turn the key on, it'll prime. So I don't know, something about it's not happy. I've got to get a new Teflon seal on there to get that in. I've got the return on it. Got the lower hose on, and the radiator is in. Yeah, so that's about it for now. Just I gotta, well, I want to get like that hose, the pressure hose on, and a few other things before I put like water pump pulley on and the fan and fan shroud. So I also had to, go ahead, you can laugh with me. This red here, which was initially on the battery for the Quick 2, US Shift Quick 2, it was on the battery. Yeah, ran my battery down. I didn't read. It's supposed to go to ignition hot, so I just ran it through here and hooked it to ignition hot. So now when the key comes on, it comes on. So it's not going to run the battery down. And the transfer cooler lines are on, as you can see. So, trying to think what else. I think that's about it for now. I'm going to try to get the fuel pump working when the key's on and the engine's running. Because it would run for a minute, and then it just died like it ran out of gas. So, yeah. Gonna get that sorted, and we'll see you back in a minute.